Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to talk about 3 public domain games.
Yes.
I like to call it public domaination.
Is that what you call it?
That's what I call it.
I like public domania. I think we used that one though.
I think we did. Aaron, before we get into the show, we got some feedback from last week. You know, last week we talked about Brian the Lion. Surprisingly, got a lot of action out of old Brian.
Yep.
A lot of folks have some strong opinions about it. Chris Folds writes in, he says, just finished the excellent Brian the Lion episode. He said that he will ignore all of your comments about Lionheart because he doesn't believe it barely squeaks in as a top 10 platformer. But as for console games, this is Chris Folds.
He'll pay for that.
He says, but as for console games, the Amiga could do. He believes that the Amiga 1200 could have done pretty much any Mega Drive game. It's just that it didn't have the market for the big studios to want to pump money in to invest in a real high-quality platformer.
Now, was Folds involved in your all's discussion about that on Discord with the Aladdin?
That was a little bit later on, but
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I have to say, I think he's right.
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't on our Discord, shame on you. You should be. Chris posted a side-by-side video of Aladdin running on a Mega Drive and an Amiga side-by-side, and pretty comparable. That, you know, whatever studio that was that put those games out really spent the time and made a quality port for the Amiga.
Now, was the Amiga port, was that an AGA release or was that on the old?
I want to say that it was an AGA.
Okay, I couldn't remember. It's been a while since I played that one. I mean, it was good. I've played them both. I mean, listen, I'm no Aladdin guy, but
Who is an Aladdin guy?
some people love that movie.
Who's walking down the street? Man, I'm fired up about
Listen,
Aladdin.
that's a popular game on the Mega Drive.
It is. It's
you know.
popular. It's one of the best platformers on. It's one of the few games where the Mega Drive version is demonstrably better than the Super Nintendo version.
Hey, put it on the list. Bro.
Yeah. We should check out Aladdin sometime. Aaron, what's new in the world of Amiga news this week?
Amiga news. Well, you know, I kind of went on tour for Amiga news this week. Yeah, I did. There wasn't a lot of Amiga news jumping out. It's like jumping out of the gate. So I kind of went to find my own way on the Amiga news. If I can get the Gambletron to agree with me here. You've got it right there. Let's start out. Now, there's an article right there. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about, and you know, we both love us some Atari.
We do.
Don't we both?
We love Atari.
And we have no qualms about getting to bed with Atari or Amiga. We love them. So there's a guy that's done a side-by-side audio comparison of the Amiga and the Atari Falcon. I like to have one of them Falcons.
Now, I believe that, you know, I think you might know more about this than I do. The Falcon was never officially released, was it?
They're out there, right?
Okay.
I've never seen ads for them.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I would know nothing about the Falcon except that it looks cool.
Yeah.
I heard the specs; they look good, and I always wanted to get hold of one, or at least to play with one. By this time, Atari had folded up the tents, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Of course, the Amiga, they've got, on this version, they've got a 14-bit sample against a 16-bit, as I believe that's in the title. Now, I listened to this, and apparently some of these others have came out that I haven't caught. But I thought the Amiga stood right in there. I mean, you got to think the Falcon would have been, this was a 600 against the Falcon.
Right. The Falcon on paper, I think, was the superior machine.
That's right. That's right, Boat. So I thought that was interesting. And again, we just happen to be a couple, you know, crazy dudes that, and I think there's more of us than you hear about.
Oh, yeah.
That are into both. Now, so you don't know anyone that had anything past the ST?
I never even knew someone that had an ST.
Yeah, I didn't either. I take that back. I think I knew one guy that had one, but I mean, the ST was, I mean, it made the Amiga look like a PC over here. I mean, no one had an ST. Nobody. You know, as I mentioned, I was trolling around for news this week. A lot that popped up, but I did come across a couple of things I wanted to share with everybody. The first thing I came across was a site that I've never seen before. And the reason it popped up in my radar is because the fellow did an article on the upcoming CD32 magazine. I think we touched that a couple weeks ago. But the name of the site it's a blog. It's blog.amigaguru.com. It's called Amiga Gamer Blog Guru. He doesn't do just Amiga. In fact, he does a lot of stuff. But hey, I like him. He's an Amiga guy, and I like the blog. I looked through it. It was kind of neat. So if you're looking for something refreshing or different to have a look at, there you go.
And that CD32 magazine, that looks real nice. I know some of our Discord folk have posted pictures of it. It looks to be a high quality publication.
You know, what do you think about a CD32 magazine today? Is it going to get any jack? Because God knows that the compilation discs are CD32 or they're flowing like wine.
Yeah, I think that there is a wide audience of CD32 diehard fans that are eager for new content in a physical form.
You know, I've heard rumor through the grapevine, reading various Facebook groups and even amongst our Discord folk, Amigas over the spectrum, over the whole line, have shot up in price in the past year, especially. I mean, they've been going up. They really went up. And in the old days, you could get I always heard people in the UK talking about how easy it was to get a CD32.
Mm-hmm.
They're paramount to worthless. You know, they're not anymore. Especially, I assume people in the know are hoarding them and grabbing all they can because they know that with the latest expansions, that they're real easy to use expansions that are cheap. The new ability to play all these games that you haven't been able to play before. It's a hot commodity, the CD32. And I think the days of getting those things cheaper are long gone, too.
Yeah.
So I hope you got one. If you don't, you're probably boned, or get your checkbook out. So here's another. And so I just stumbled across the Guru site. Here's another one I never heard of. Both of you heard of the old Amiga Alive page?
No.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And the reason I had a look at this is he had an article up here on some Amiga hardware stuff, and I was just looking at it. So, like I said, I like to see all these things popping up. I don't know how new. I mean, I think these have been out for a while.
Well, this post is from September 19th, so I mean, it's not that old.
No, I know they're still being
2 days
updated,
ago.
but I mean, that's what I'm saying is the actual site that is hosting it. They've been up for a while. So Amiga Alive, if you have not been there, it's AmigaAlive.blogspot.com. Hey, Amiga blogs. I'm down with the clown on that.
Yeah.
And it was just looking through this thing. It is crazy the amount of new Amiga expansion peripherals that are coming out or are currently being produced or being planned. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And this guy, this latest post is all about the new hardware that's coming out. He's got an S-Video adapter here, various replica motherboards or main boards, as they're known, I guess, in the Amiga scene. So definitely check this out, AmigaLive.blogspot.com.
We're always looking to push our Amiga buddies. So now this one. You know, we often draw upon Zoodaz when we have for pretty much as long as we've had video. Good old Zoodaz. So Zoodaz put up a video.
I think it's Zoostaz.
Is it Zoodaz? Yeah. I always thought it was Zoodaz, but it's probably because I didn't really read it that close. I was just like, where am I getting this again? Zoodaz. So anyway, the old Zeus has up a sort of a versus video.
He's got a new channel logo too.
Yeah. Now, what it is Stunt Car Racer versus Lotus Turbo Challenge 2. Now, I was hoping there'd be some clever, witty rapport and commentary. There's not. It's just, he shows some Stunt Car Racer footage, and then he shows footage from Lotus. But what the meat of this thing is that looking at the comments to see which one people picked, or which one that people sided with.
Were you able to ascertain anything from those comments?
It was pretty close.
Pretty even?
A lot of people thought that Lotus was... I saw several people that mentioned that Lotus looked like it was more fun or looked more fun, and Stunt Car Racer looked more of a technical achievement, which that... Is Lotus... What do you think?
I think you could go either way on that. I think that Stunt Car Racer can be a lot of fun, and Lotus is definitely a technical achievement. Yeah. I think that Lotus looks better, no question.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the amount of fun, I have a lot of fun with both games.
Yeah, these are two of our perennial favorites, aren't they both? So here's something you never thought you'd see in the Who to Thunk It department, since we're talking about hardware. I was bebopping around on YouTube and come across a video from a fellow here, MJ Nerney, and it is him describing and unwrapping a brand new Amiga 1200 motherboard.
Wow.
And including and
hey, from Retro Bench,
yes,
a sponsor of Amigathon.
Yes, and we got to get it out there. Now, I'm telling you, who'd have thunk that? Who would have thunk it that you could go out and get you a brand new Amiga 1200 motherboard in the box?
Yeah.
And so good on them. And this guy seems real positive about it. He gives a little video tour of the board. Again, this thing was they basically took the Amiga 1200 original and they re-engineered it effectively, and they got rid of some stuff. Now clearly that's going to be populated, but the fact that you can get this is truly astounding to me. And it even has the note it came with had some different notes on what you needed to do where and how you would want to wire.
Can you imagine? I wonder how long it would take to repopulate that board with all the capacitors and resistors and chips and everything.
It would be
it's a monumental undertaking.
It would go quicker than you would think, provided it went smoothly. There are some. I'm looking at the board right now, and you're looking at like the Paula chip, for example. Those are not easy to mount manually because they're what are called J-lead chips, and there would be some. Listen, it's also not easy to mount those connectors. When I was in my old IBM days, we would be using solder pots and topside machines and radial machines to put that stuff on. We would certainly not be doing. There were some things you just didn't do by hand. It was too dangerous, and so that would be no easy task.
I always thought it was a missed opportunity that Commodore never had a chip called the Eric chip.
Why?
Eric Estrada.
You lost me. From chips? Oh, I get it. That was a think piece, wasn't it? Now everyone's thinking, what is this dumb guy? And of course, how many people know who that is now and in the UK, for example, or Germany?
Leave us a note in the comments.
If you know what chips is, drop us a line. I'd be interested to know who all got that. Boy, Bo, you're really on point today, buddy. Aside from that, the only thing left I've got to mention is yes. If you're an ARG Presents guy, watch the light boat. If you're an ARG Presents guy, you don't want to miss, or girl, you don't want to miss this episode of ARG Presents. It's Action Max all the time. Action Max from morning, noon to night, nothing but Action Max. But what are your fondest childhood memories of the Action Max?
I remember when the Action Max was being marketed.
Yeah.
Them, and even as a small child, I somehow knew this was very lame.
Oh, what the heck?
I could tell by the fact that that I knew what a light gun game should look like, and it didn't involve flashing spheres moving across the screen in line with the target.
Let me tell you something. I don't like to speak for Brent. But Brent offered me $300 for my Action Max setup, and I had to run him out of there. He loved the Action Max. He loved it. And he really wants to make a whole show around it. I mean, like a series of podcasts.
It would be called, what would you call an Action Max podcast?
Action Max podcast.
I think it's great.
I will say one thing Brent mentioned on the show that I think would be kind of fun is to make our own Action Max cassette. I looked on the net, and I know I've seen them before. There's the little spots you need to trigger the gun. You can get those as like animated GIFs or GIFs. Right. And you can literally make a video up and then lay those over it. You can have people shoot you.
Yeah. I mean, it would be very easy to do. Definitely less than $1 million.
Something, yeah. Another thing I always wanted to do is like, the Laserdisc craze, right? This is sort of similar. You can make your own Laserdisc game. Remember, I got this idea. This is a little sidetrack here, but so a couple years ago, they did this thing where they had people redo Star Wars, and they give everyone sent in 5 or 6 second clips. Everybody wanted to. Okay. And they took all these clips and they made the whole movie out of them. And some of them are surreal. And they don't have, the plot and the dialogue is exactly the same. But instead of having if there's a scene where Darth Vader and the stormtroopers are walking down this hallway, and he's like, find those plans, right? In the version you might watch, the 6 seconds of that might be a girl in a black dress, flanked by 2 chicks in a white dresses, sashaying down a runway. And it was real interesting to watch.
That sounds cool. Do you have any idea what the real title of that was?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'll try to find it and I'll post it. But I always thought it'd be cool to do the same thing on a scene-by-scene 6-second remake of Dragon's Lair. With all the same joystick motions, but made by a real-life, real-time redoing of it. I thought that'd be funny.
It would be funny.
Because there'd be no dragon or stuff, but you might have a dog in a dragon costume. You had to do it. It'd be amusing.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, it'd be harder. But that's sort of along the same lines that Brent said. I think that's all we've got. You got anything else you want to throw into the news there?
It's time to dive in to our games of the week, Aaron.
Oh, so we're just going to jump right into
We're going to jump right in.
All right, bud. I'm going to let you lead the charge here. What do you got?
Okay, so first up,
because this first game, I assume we're doing them in the same order.
we're going to be talking about Master Blaster.
Yeah, this is more your line than it is mine.
Okay, so Master Blaster is a public domain shareware title based on the Dynablaster games, as they're known in the UK, or everywhere else as Bomberman. Bomberman was a game that came out originally. Boy, I don't know if it originally came out for the NES or if there was a weird Japanese computer version that came out beforehand, but I know it first from coming out in the NES pretty early on. But it didn't really hit its stride until the 16-bit era. The first Bomberman game that came out was a single-player affair. It was a puzzle game like, what was that? Sort of like Worthy, a single screen puzzle game where you're trying to clear the level. However, somebody got the bright idea during the 16-bit era to make Bomberman Multiplayer, and that's when Bomberman got awesome.
No, is that a Hudson Soft game? Are they the ones that did
I believe
Bomberman?
so. I believe they did.
I wonder if
Bomberman.
there was a Hudson. You were talking about a weird Japanese computer. I can see Hudson putting out some bizarre. They're the only company that could probably pull it off from back in those days. Some weird Hudson Soft style computer.
Yeah.
And that one thing about Hudson Soft, they sprinkled Bomberman onto every. It's a lot like Prince of Persia. It's on every conceivable thing, and it's been done 4 billion times.
Right. There are several versions of Bomberman that are known to be the best. The TurboGrafx 16 version of Bomberman is supposed to be quite good in terms of early Bomberman games. The later Bomberman games kind of take a rough turn because as you start to move more and more into the 3D land, you can't see the playfield as well because of the way that the guys are rendered. Some people don't like that. The ultimate Bomberman game, as recognized by all, is the Bomberman game for the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, those are the two standouts of the TurboGrafx on the same.
Because you can play, I believe, 8 players. Yes. Bomberman,
I think it takes two or three multi-taps.
You've got the screen is adjusted majorly. I mean, you're basically looking at Worms size Bomberman at that point.
I've seen people do it, and I'm like, this looks bad.
I bought the setup to do it, and I had a full Saturn setup. I could never find 8 people or 7 other people to play with.
I never even knew you had a Saturn.
I did. That was back before I moved overseas. I had everything. I had the Nights into Dreams controller with the analog stick. Wish I still had it now. That's how it goes.
I'm sure you can go get it if you wanted it.
So this game, Master Blaster, was released in 1994 by Nexus Software.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about the background of this one?
I can't. Actually, I've got it. It was developed by the Alpha Brothers.
Okay.
I tried to find something out about the Alpha Brothers and could not find anything about them. In fact, as far as I could tell, this is all that they ever did. The people who, their names specifically, the guys that actually worked on this, Alexander Ivanov, right, and Andreas Ivanov. So I don't know if they were brothers or.
Oh, okay.
And then the third member of the team, Peter Elsner, he actually did a couple other things. He did Diamond Caves and Maniac Ball, but there was scant on this particular game. One of the things that I'm sure you're going to get into this, I don't want to steal your thunder, was the amount of players that you could have on this. Now, do you recall on the Amiga version of Bomberman how many you could have? I think you just have the 2, right? So
this was a 2-player only game on the Amiga, and the characters that you were limited to were basically the same looking Bomberman in different colors.
Yeah.
This game blows that out of the water. This is the part of the game where it really surpasses the original. You've got like soldier, police officer, Nurse. I don't know if Nurse is in there, but I mean, you've got tons of different characters that you can play in this game.
And they look very different.
Yeah, and they look very different, and it adds a lot of personality to the game too. As far as I can tell, they don't play any different, but it definitely makes the game more interesting to look at when you've got all those different sprites on the screen.
I did a little nosing around on this because let's be upfront. This is a Bomberman Clone.
Mm-hmm.
They added now, and you can tell me if this is stuff that was added that hasn't appeared before or in another version, like this little store and stuff that you and a little trophy that you get, that little stick. I always thought that was cute at the end of the. Is that something that's original?
Yeah, you can. I don't know if there's a store. I don't recall a store in any of the Bomberman games. But I know there is one in this game.
Right.
But there definitely is a trophy ceremony in the Bomberman.
And of course, when you die, it makes a sad loser noise when you.
The sounds are quite amusing in this game.
I had to get Luke to play this with because I didn't have another player, and it requires 2 players, and both of us had no idea how to play Bomberman. We tried. Everyone's trying to teach me, and this is one of those games I just never got into, as you know. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not my bag. But I did find some amusement in it. I thought it was interesting, and from a technical standpoint, for a shareware program, I thought it was pretty good. And if you look at the documentation. I was looking at some comments on this and reading some people that that were better at than me, and they said that if you look at the documentation, there are plans to make a 4-player expansion adapter that this game supports, which that's impressive, man. And so you can end up having your 5 players. Not bad. I could see 5 players on this before I could see 8 players. I think it looks colorful. It sounds okay. I mean, it doesn't look. I mean, we've played a lot of games on this show. This looks like a no frills game, but otherwise, you wouldn't necessarily think it was anything but just someone's released game.
Sure.
I didn't think this looks like. I mean, coming up from the old PC days, when I think shareware, instantly I think this is gonna be crap because it so often was. Now, this is not fair to shareware makers because the Amiga. I've noticed their shareware tends to be often, at least what we've looked at, it's been pretty good.
Definitely a step above your average PC shareware.
Absolutely.
Titles.
So I don't know what that means, but I thought this was, a nice effort.
Yeah, if you compare this to what was available in the official Dynablaster release of the Amiga, this is the better title. This game runs faster. There are more options. It's a better game all in all. It's not fair to compare this to later Bomberman games or games on other better platforms or more advanced platforms. But if you're going to play a Bomberman game and you've got buddies around, this is the one that you want to play. The only bad thing about this title is that they didn't program in AI.
Yeah, if you don't have buddies to play, this is not the game to play.
Right, because
you can't play single player.
The second player will be mapped to your mouse and he will just constantly run to the left the whole time. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that programming AI is not easy, and they wanted to get this thing out there and just let people have a good time. But boy, that's really the only thing that stands in the way of this really being a great title.
I'm going to defer to you on this. I can just say, playing it when I did with my abilities, it controlled fine, it looked fine. Having played the other version, I didn't see that this was any worse. And since you can play more people and you have different characters, it's probably better. So yeah, to me, I thought it looked like a win if Bomberman's your bag.
Yeah, the title screen, which I think this game went through several variations because the title screen on our video here from Master Blaster Amiga Club CZ, this is not the same version that I played. I think I played a later release that had even more options. I mean, there's the screen; it's chock full.
The opening screen has like a million options. Yeah, that's the one I played too.
Yeah,
and I will say, and I'll mention this in all the games. I played this one on the Amiga Forever, with Amiga Forever, and without any incident. It came right up. I played perfectly fine. So, I did find reviews for this. Can you believe that? Of course, Lemon gave it. This is very popular on Lemon. Here's how popular. 8.06.
Very good.
That's huge. You realize how many big titles
are in the sevens.
Get that score. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot. So they may be. I know last week you were kind of ragging on the Lemon people, but that might be a little high. Again, I'm not anything. But then again, Amiga. Now listen to this. Here's another magazine I've never heard of. Amiga Computing U.S. Edition. How about that?
They probably only lasted about 3 issues.
From February of 96.
96, wow.
Issue 7 gave this 100%.
Please buy an Amiga to keep us in business. They've got awesome games, we promise.
Amiga Power of June of 96, 3 out of 5. Which
I'd say that this is probably, I mean, for what it is, for what it tries to be, this is a solid 3.5 to 4.
Let me ask you a question about Bomberman Boat.
Okay.
Now there are 4 million of these Bomberman games. Okay, and we've talked about the ones that are popular due to the fact that you can play all these people.
Okay, go ahead.
What makes when they release one of these like every day? Like, what is different? What changes? I'm not being facetious. I really don't understand what do they do different. And you said the 3D ones. I can understand they moved into 3D. Okay, like a worm. But in the old days, what did they do that was different that would make these games more popular or require people to buy them because they wanted it so bad?
I think they were constantly adding new modes to play in. You know, this game definitely has KC Munchkin-like stages where the walls will disappear and appear and things like that.
Okay.
I think that people always want to buy and play a Bomberman with a little bit better graphics, at least in the days of in the 90s. You know, when new consoles were really big leaps forward. I think, you know, adding online play, that was a big thing when the Bomberman came out for the 360. I remember playing Bomberman online.
That's what I can understand. But I mean, really, this is the kind of game that like graphical enhancements aren't going to make that big a difference, or you know, sounds. Or
and I mean, there are things that later games do better. The game suffers from a lot of slowdown if you've got a lot of stuff going on some of the older versions. So, Bomberman, for those of you that don't know what this game is, you basically have a field full of brick walls, and you're equipped with a single bomb at the beginning. You detonate that bomb against one of the walls. The wall blows up. You approach your opponent in a stealthy manner and try and trap him in a place where he cannot escape, and the bomb blows him up. To aid you in your quest, you've got tons of different kinds of bombs and power-ups and things can get real nutty in terms of what you can do with these power-ups. And it's a competitive, you know, multi-round sort of deal, and it's one of the all-time great party games.
Fair enough. You ready? You want to move on to the next
Let's
one?
move on.
All right, I'll jump in here on this one. So the next one we took a look at was called Cybernetics. All right, that's the next one on your list, Bud. So this was developed by an outfit called Vision. Okay.
Now we know Vision.
Now
right?
these guys have actually done stuff, and it's funny that how we know them. They did a game called Gnome. They did Kiro's Quest, Microbes. They did Overkill and Roadkill. All right.
They got your kill games covered.
Yes, Seek and Destroy, Woody's World, and of course, I remembered it from Roadkill, and also this one, Zombie Apocalypse 1 and 2.
Yes.
Okay. So
from Joe the Zombie's Hour of Zombie Madness on Amigathon.
So this was released in '92. It was shareware, and apparently this was on an Amiga format cover disc because they published it. It can have 2 players, hot seat 2 players. And some of the coders on the guy that coded this is Paul Andrews.
I thought you were going to say Paul Anka.
Paul Anka. That would be something, wouldn't it? And he pretty much worked on almost all the Vision games except for Zombie Apocalypse 2. And get this, the graphics were done by Rodney Smith. He worked on Skid Marks.
Oh, okay.
All right. And that musician Blair Zupachich. That's a tough one to say. He did a lot of the Vision stuff too. So it's funny when we found out we were doing these public domain games. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what the guys had chosen. You know, which I think I like it like that.
Yeah.
And so this one thing I'll right out of the gate. First thing I liked about it instantly: online visual instructions. The best.
If every game had those, the world would be a better place.
Because if you hadn't read, I'm guessing you read them too.
Absolutely. Anytime a game tells me a big how to play, that's where I go.
Because I'm playing this game, and basically to start off with, if someone ever asked what would happen if Defenders met asteroids and throw in a little bit of what was it, Sinistar, what would you get? Well, you'd get Cybernetics. Is that the way you felt about
exactly.
it? Cybernetics is a game that scrolls like Defender, very fast, by the way, too fast. And so one of the first things I learned is you can't just go as fast as you want. You've got to be cool.
Defender's the same way.
Yeah. And Defender game I was never good at.
Oh,
and never particularly fond of
incredibly
due to
difficult.
the amount of buttons involved. So in this game, you're in a ship, and there's a backstory and whatnot. But the bottom of the truth is, you're in a ship, and there are asteroids around you, and you can go back and forth, left and right, Defender style, and you're trying to shoot these asteroids. And when you finish off an asteroid, a little blue crystal will pop out, and you can get them for points. And there's it's got everything you would expect in a game like this. It's got a radar screen, and bad guys that come in. It warns you when they're coming and stuff. And one of the key elements of the game is because the bad guys, much like in say Sinistar, they're also collecting these crystals. And if you let them get a couple and then you blow them away, you get a power up.
Right.
So there you go.
So it's incentive for you to let them have some.
And it's something you probably wouldn't pick up on quickly but it was spelled out.
Right.
Which is what I agree, because the little crystals show up on your radar. And so at first I was like, man, look at all these bogeys. Well, it wasn't all bogeys, and they look like little blue crystals on the radar. They do a very good job representing what these items are. And so you drive your ship, and your goal is to clear the level. Simple. And try not to get killed. Not that simple. As I mentioned, that the other ships are collecting these crystals as well, and there are a varying degree of other ships. Some that will, and this is all spelled out visually in the online documentation, but some that will come right at you, some that try to avoid you, some that shoot, some that don't shoot. And if you take too long on a level, there's an assassin ship that just comes out and makes a beeline for you, which if you see him, you got problems.
Yeah.
And that's the way the game progresses. It looks excellent. I thought it looked, a shareware program, this could have passed for a proper program as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Bo?
Well, this game is so close to really being spectacular. It gets a lot of things right. I felt like, the shooting was good. I felt like I had control. One of the things that I probably wouldn't have done was that you truly have auto fire in this game. If you hold the button down, you can shoot just as fast as you want. I probably would have gone with a Galaga style. You can have 2 bullets active at the same time, just to kind of make it a little bit more of a challenge to shoot. Also, your auto fire it's not mega fast either. Yeah, but you can't fire with your hand any faster than you fire by holding down the button.
I think it's funny you should mention this, because we didn't talk about this before the show, but I have to admit, if you could pump the button Galaga style and really crank out the bullets, it would probably go a long way, because I did find myself wishing that I could fire at a quicker rate.
Yeah.
And most games don't have an auto fire, and the ones that do, they're often like this. So I agree with you on that. I agree.
I felt like the enemies were well drawn.
Yeah.
I like the whole crystal gimmick. It's cool. The thing that I don't like about this game is that, one of the great things about Defender is that you've got the city down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
In this game, you're just kind of floating in space. It's an entirely black background. That's great if you're asteroids and it's 1978. It's less great when it's 1992. Even a game like Super Stardust, the closest thing to asteroids that the Amiga has, it's got colorful planetary backgrounds and things like that.
It's got an extra button.
It's got an extra button that we did not mention. So I enjoyed this game. And I thought it was neat. I thought it was incredibly well done. Again, for a public domain title, incredibly well done.
I would have been killing for this back in '96. Gosh.
And one of the things that I wondered was the reason why they put the how to play in the game is they knew that this game was going to be distributed mostly through BBSs and public domain discs, where you're not going to get a manual. Paper manual.
It is, and that is something I used to see back in the day on the PC. They would often have it, but it was mostly text. I think that I think I like this more than you. I've never been a big fan of Defender. So this game, I was ready to drop the hammer on this thing. It's like, oh boy, here we go. I think the asteroid angle works. I think this is simpler than Defender, but it's not easy. And like I said, you have to control the speed of your craft I mean, you really have to kind of mope along, don't you? Because when I first started playing, I was like, woohoo!
Yeah, if you jam that stick to the right, you're going to be dead before you know it.
You're going to be dead quick.
Yeah.
Because you don't fire fast enough to where you could just slam forward and go. I like the assortment of extra weapons you can get. They're very cool. And you can also... I like the presentation. I like the fact there's 2 players. Would have been awesome to have 2 players simultaneous, but a game like this, you just can't pull it off because the way the screen scrolls.
It'd be too crazy.
How far did you get in this boat? I was not real good at it, unfortunately.
I don't know how. I mean, I played it. I played it and died a bunch, but also I don't know. I don't know how do you gauge that? Is it by
levels? I mean, what sector did you get to?
I can't remember.
Also, I should mention that this thing has like the explode the whole screen gimmick when you hit the space bar.
Smart bomb.
Yeah, always welcome. In a game like this, sound effects were good. They have kind of a gimmick on some of the stuff where it makes it look like an old calculator readout number.
Yeah, the LED like cool. A multi-segment display thing.
But I mean, I think this is one of those crazy game mashups that works. I mean, it works, but in this case because it's well done. It's a well-done game. It's once you read the documentation, so I have a good idea what you're doing. It's not like it's just not the hardest game. But I mean, I would read it, look at the enemies, it tells you, and then when you get settled in there, it doesn't take you. I'm not good at this sort of thing, and it didn't take me too long to get halfway decent at it. Where I got to I think I got to the 4th or 5th sector before I got killed. It's not bad, for the amount of time I played it. But man, this is a thumbs up for me, big time. And by the way, the asteroids in this are beautifully rendered.
They are.
They're animated. They look really nice, don't they? And the enemy ships look pretty cool. And your ship looks pretty cool.
Like I said, everything about this game looks amazing except for the lack of background.
Also, when you die, you don't lose your power up. I enjoyed that.
Yep.
I need them power
Always
up.
welcome.
You also get more than 3 men, which is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I have a bad thing to say about this game. Like I said, I can understand your points. And I could think of some ways I think they could have done a sequel to this that would have been awesome. Like the crystals that you collect. And Alex, I didn't get real far, so maybe there's stuff that happens I don't know about. But man, you could you remember in Sinistar, they're taking those crystals and they're building Sinistar with it. I would have loved to have seen some kind of mega ship or mega weapon being built. That would have been cool.
Oh yeah.
I think that would have been
sort of like on I think anything like that would be cool. Like for example, in the Atari Return of the Jedi game, the Death Star battle game, where you see them creating the Death Star up in the distance, and then you approach the Death Star.
That was a pretty well done game too. Yeah. So I'm going to turn this thing off. Something else I enjoyed about this is that it's an old school throwback arcade game. I just like it. You jump in and play it. There's another thing that was surprising was that there's probably 10 different types of enemies.
Yeah.
A ton.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're really different. They do, and some of them
they've got different patterns.
So, like I said, thumbs up to this all the way. By the way, added bonus, this got converted either from or to the Atari ST.
Okay.
Not bad, right? So, this got a bunch of reviews, by the way. Lemon has a score of 7.23. Amiga Action did not. I don't see a rating for them. I'm looking to see if any of these other people they looked at it, but they didn't review it. Here we go. Amiga Power gave it 5 out of 5, and Amiga and listen to this one. Dollar Magazine number 3. I'm guessing German gave it a 3 out of 5. Dollar Magazine. I wonder if that means Dollar Magazine, Boat.
Sounds like it to me.
That's pretty good. You would think that I'm looking right here. Amiga Format published this, but didn't score it. At least I didn't see a score.
Weird.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
There you go on that one.
All right.
Now,
Cybernetics.
This right here is the wacky one.
Yeah, we saved the wackiest for last.
First of all, by the way. Should mention before we move away from Cybernetics that I also just double-clicked on this and ran it in Amiga Forever, and it came right up. There was a 0 problem, which I can't say the same for our next game, Hangar 18. Now, I don't know exactly what I could get this to run on anything. And I think Pixels actually
Pixels
wrote...
are gone.
Our good, sweet Lord, we love this boy.
We would not be talking about this game right now if it were not for Pixels
at Dawn actually wrote a script,
an installer script, that put in the required library, because this game needs all kinds of special libraries to run right. This is not a company exe release type experience.
We should probably see if Pixis will let that one get and put that out.
He should upload that, onto Aminet or something like that.
We'll get with Pixis, and if he's cool with it, we'll get this thing set up so everyone can play it, because I got a feeling people are going to want to have a go at this one. So go ahead, Bo. What do you think of this one?
All right. Well, this is a game. Hangar 18 it's sort of like Area 51. Yeah. It's one of these places where the government is supposed to store UFOs. And this game is actually pretty incredible in terms of the introduction. It's animated. There are renderings, things that are going on. And basically, you find out the truth of what's going on in Hangar 18, and you've got to bust your guys out, and you gotta tell the world what's going down. This game is quite ambitious for what I believe is the work of one person.
Yes, I looked into this, and they've got it listed with the developer being Muzzasoft. And as far as I can tell, I don't think they did anything else. But get this, I love this one. Artist and coder, Alistair Murray, graphician. Help me out here, Bo. Graphician.
Is there a T in there?
No,
it's graphician.
Okay. I don't think I've ever.
Where are you going, graphician?
Oh no, take off. Alistair Murray, musician, Alistair Murray, miscellaneous, Alistair Murray. He did it all, man. Oh, he did do some other stuff himself. I don't know if he did it under the Muzzasoft title. He did Banana Island.
Is it Murray or Murphy?
Murray.
I've written that in the thing incorrectly.
I got Murray.
Yeah.
He did Banana Island, which that keeps coming up, doesn't it? Blobby, Chaos, Countdown to Extinction, Kill 'Em All, Traitor, Turtleminator.
What can't this guy do?
And 12. I love it. I can't say you're one of these. Turtleminator. So here comes Hangar 18. Now this came out in 95. This is a weird. I mean, where do you even start on this one? Go ahead, Bo.
Okay.
Keep going. You were going. I just want to jump in there.
How do you describe the gameplay of Hangar 18? Okay. Imagine Walker, except it's actually a fun, good game.
Start
there.
That's a bad start.
Okay. So you control your guy. His name is like Rico or something like that. And you control him using
Rorian Hill.
You control him using the joystick, and your cursor surrounds him at all times, at a distance or close to you, wherever you want, and you use it to shoot. So it's just like Walker. I found this to be a very good way to control.
It's weird to use the joystick and the mouse.
I don't know if I would find it as fun if I were not using a controller. I play all of these games with a PS4 controller. I don't know if I'd be able to. You'd almost feel like you're shifting in a car, I think, if you're doing the joystick with your offhand while you're moving the mouse. But I found it to be, a very accurate way to fire your weapons. This game has a little bit of. It's an open world game. You start off in a prison. And you pick up a pistol. Immediately, you walk forward and you blow up, and your guy catches on fire, and you start running around. So the second time you play after you die, you notice that there is like a trap set by this door, and you've got to spring the trap in the only way you can in a video game, by shooting it with your pistol.
That's the way. Anytime I see an explosive, time to get out the old firearm.
That's right. So in this game, it almost looks like little computer people in a way.
It reminded me sort of the that's I think it was the Spectrum we played at, or no, maybe on the Amiga, the one with the school days.
Oh yeah, School Days, another example. Yeah, we did that on ARG. So this is it's a side view, side scrolling deal. You've got multiple levels, so you're moving left and right. You're also going up and down, and basically you're collecting objects, you're collecting weapons, you've got buddies that you free from their cells, and when you get up to them, it's not like most games where you just walk up to them and they're like, hey, I'm free, and they either run away or they follow you. In this game, you can actually tell them what you want them to do.
Yeah, they can come with you, or they can go do their own thing, or you can just tell them to take off, basically.
Right. And so this game has a lot of personality, I think. There's dialogue that occurs that shows up in boxes on the screen as you're doing things. So you can be off doing something else and then hear a guy go, "Oh God, I'm dying!" And you're like, "Oh, he's dead," and so you can actually send guys out in front of you to be cannon fodder for the enemies. This game is, I struggle to call it a pretty game, but it's a well drawn game. I mean, it's not beautiful, but there's lots of stuff in the environment.
Very detailed.
Yeah, the environment is very detailed. So you've got stuff like bookshelves and cabinets and tables laid with food and signs and things like that. And so it's interesting to look at. This game suffers from a lack of background music, I think. I feel like they could have put something in the back.
I think I know why he didn't.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into my full feelings. In terms of the music, one thing I like about this is that there's a lot of gunplay and stuff, and it to me, the game is kind of eerie. Mm-hmm. And I think the lack of music, I mean, yeah, that's probably not why I didn't put it in there, but it's sort of like Prince of Persia to me. It's like, it's such a bizarre game. You don't know exactly where you're going or what you're doing, and so you'll stumble upon the bad guys, and they're coming after you, and they'll talk to you. And they'll pursue you.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I remember I came to this one guy who was a level up on me, and I got up the ladder, and he saw me, and was shooting me. So I was like, screw this, I'm out of here. And I went down the ladder, I was running off, and he goes, I'll kill you. And he's running down after me, and he's shooting. I'm like, oh God. My guys are getting shot, and blood's coming out of them.
This game is freaking brutal, too.
It is.
They are not shy about when you get shot, there's rivers of blood that spring forth and stain the walls.
And you'll catch on fire. You can blow up.
And I mean, I'm not going to knock the game for it. Certainly, unlike Worthy, where the blood was a little bit off-putting because of the type of game that it was, it fits right in with a game like this.
Yes.
This is a escape from Alcatraz type deal, at least in the first level. I didn't get beyond the first level.
I couldn't
this is a very difficult game. I did watch a playthrough, and there's vehicles in this.
Yes,
you can get into
I knew that from reading the instructions.
Get into a car and you can drive around, or different flying things, and you go into a bunch of different environments and things. I guess in your quest to spread the message here, there's cutscenes that happen in the game. So this is, like I said, this is a valiant effort. I think this is probably the most ambitious of all three titles. This is the only game that's entirely original of all the games that we played. It's not borrowing from anything else, as far as I can tell. And the fact that it was the work of a single person is very impressive.
I'll just go say, I want to tip my hat to Alistair for this game. This guy, why isn't this guy a big star? Because I was like, man, this is, I'm going to a lot of hassle to get this to work. What's going on here? And I was grumpy going in, because I had to wait. I didn't get to play this as long as the other ones because I had to wait to get it, we could figure out how to get it working. And so when the thing comes up, I'm like looking at the ray trace graphics, and they're pretty cool for the time, but they haven't aged well. I'm like, I don't know about this. And the story on this thing is absolutely bonkers. And then using the joystick and the mouse, I'm like, what in God's name? And the control section, there's 2 full screens of controls. Like, we're not going over all the controls.
Yeah, there's other stuff you can do.
Amongst the many things you can do is if you on the joystick fire button, you've got a grappling hook. Mm-hmm. And think about that. It's not like, oh, by the way, your guy can grapple. That's a huge element of the game.
Yeah.
It's a grappling hook. Multiple weapons, there's ammo you have to take care of. But man, this guy, he must have just been driven. Now, I read one of the comments to this game that said this was the sequel to Trader. I haven't tried Trader. I was hoping it'd be the sequel to Terminator or whatever it was.
Turtleminator.
But instantly, when you start this game, it's just it's got a vibe I don't think I've ever seen in a game.
I'll tell you, there's 2 things. One, I just learned from the chat, and I agree with Duncan Styles in the chat right now, says the little guys remind you of Syndicate. I think this looks like a side-scrolling Syndicate. kind of has that vibe. And also, if you've played the Xbox 360 game Fez, the environments,
I've never played it.
The environments look very similar.
Well, the fact that it goes into the point where you can pick what to say to your guys. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that's just extraneous. You don't even really probably even need that, but it makes it interesting. If I had been a kid when this came out and saw this, it would have blown my mind.
Absolutely.
The way your guy operates, he's tough. He can take a lot of shots, but you're literally you can have a force with you and you're breaking out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, like I said, the bad guys that come at you, they don't just sort of like shoot you occasionally.
This is not a Brian the Lion situation where they're just sort of meandering about.
These guys are vicious.
Yeah.
You'll come upon them when they're at a dinner table or just in this room, and they'll come after you, and they were relentless.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you're climbing up a ladder and you can't shoot, these guys are gonna do everything they can to blow a hole in you.
Yeah.
You know, they won't stop, man. And like you said, it was bloody. There's all kinds of ways to get killed. You can be burned. You can be shot. You can blow up. I know the first thing I did was go up this ladder, went into this room, blew a hole in the door, and there was a stationary
turret.
machine gun turret.
Mm-hmm.
It just cut me down.
Yep.
I was just like, holy God. And I went in there and blew him up later just to get even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This game has a password-based level system. So I mean, that's pretty good. That shows you the depth of it. I mean, listen, no offense to the Bomberman game, but I mean, this is a undertaking. And the interface, you'd probably think to yourself, this sounds like there's so many controls, and there are. It's a complicated game, no doubt, but it works amazingly well. And using the mouse to like do your shooting and stuff, it's cool. It almost had, part of it has almost like a crossbow vibe to it.
Well, it's exactly like Walker.
Well, Walker, you know, in crossbow, your little guys walk across the street and you try to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the kind of way I felt about it. You know, your guy's technically shooting. Where in Walker, you're definitely doing the one shoot. Listen, I liked Walker a lot more than you. But man, this is a game that, I mean, the complexity blows everything that away in terms of the complexity.
This is it's real good. I mean, you know, if you can get through sort of, and it's not that it's hard either. It's just about
I thought it was kind of hard. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's also, you know, it's learning the pattern. It's learning where those turrets are. You know, knowing what to expect. This is a game that if you are into the Amiga at all and you've not played this, you owe it to yourself to play this game. And I don't say that often. This is a very unique title. There's really nothing else like it in the computing space at this time.
Yeah, and I could sit here and, there's a backstory. I'm not going to read all this backstory, but it's because it's long. I mean, this isn't just a game where the guy, it seems to me that Alistair wrote a story and he's like, okay, now how can I make this story a game? Mm-hmm. And then that's what he did.
Yeah.
This is the kind of detail and kid think that you would not get from a group of men.
Right.
And you'd have to be some crazy. I would love to talk to this guy if he's still in the scene or whatever. I would love to see what was going through his head when he made this, because this is an undertaking and an endeavor I can't get over the expansiveness of it. So this is an enthusiastic thumbs up on this one. You talk about something that came out of nowhere. This one came out in as much trouble as it was to get it to run, and I wonder if it hasn't gotten much recently due to the fact that it's sort of a hassle to get it going.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe Pixel's, a little patch, maybe get a little more action.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you haven't tried this and you feel like giving it a shot, I recommend it. I could go on. Lemon. Now, I could not find any reviews for this except for the Lemon score. Lemon gave this thing a straight up 6.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show that Lemon can't be trusted.
Well, no. I mean, listen. Let's take a step back. I'm me, okay? I looked at first of all, just getting started, I was annoyed.
This is what happened. You've got people that have never played this. They look at some screenshots or they give it a go for a couple seconds because it's their mission in life to rate every single game on Lemon they can, and they give it a low score. Nobody grew up loving this game, so therefore nobody's giving it 10s like every other famous game that we do that's on Amiga.
You're too hard to limit people. I do think they really do try to do a good job. But I think if just from my perspective, you see that opening set of instructions, and it's overwhelming. It's like watching look at the Madden control. It's like, holy cow, how do I hut the ball? It's not that bad once you get used to it.
It's not at all.
I mean, you got to admit, you look at those controls, you're like, Jesus, getting out of vehicle,
oh, yeah.
grappling hook.
It's one of those things where, you play it a couple times and you learn a couple things, and then you go back to the beginning, you look at it again, you're like, oh, there's a grappling hook. Let me try that.
And it's not a squad game either. I mean, you're controlling the one guy.
Right.
But with the mouse, you can switch your weapons with ease. I think the interface is actually pretty darn good.
I think so, too.
You've always know how much ammo you've got on the weapon that you've got loaded. You can always switch weapons at your leisure. It tells you when you pick up a weapon what the weapon does, the damage and whatnot. I can't praise this one highly enough. With Stunner, I am as stunned as I've ever been on that one.
Yeah.
And by the way, before Boat kicks on in here, none of these are on eBay. No,
none of them are on eBay. Nobody's selling PD games on eBay. If there are other public domain games that you think that we should check out, definitely leave us a comment on the YouTube there and let us know, because man, like we talked about at the beginning, the Amiga has some great titles. It's definitely not your typical shareware stuff. That's true.
And also, if anyone out there knows Alistair Murray,
yeah, we want to talk to him.
Tell him to get in touch with us, man. I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah,
thumbs up. They're really thumbs up for all three. I liked all of them. And I like them all for different reasons, but this was certainly the most. This is the widest scope of the three by far. I mean, this was an ambitious title.
Yeah. Last week I didn't mention the fact that we record this podcast live every week, except when we don't, on Fridays at around between the hours of 4:30 and 8 p.m.
We're a little early today.
Yeah, just depending on when Aaron can get here and other things of that nature. But you can join us on the YouTube chat. It's always very active. There's always tons of people in here. We got Necronom in the chat room, Duncan Styles, Andy Davis, Paul Harrington, Pixels at Dawn.
Thanks, Pixels.
10-minute Amiga Retrocast has joined us. Welcome. Pixel Vixen, Joseph H. Tons of people hanging out with us in the chat today. Yeah.
Sexy.
Absolutely. So, please do join us if you're hanging out at home on a Friday evening and you want to get some Amiga action, and you got the Huck just joined. Aaron.
Yes.
Say that you want to support the show. There's a myriad ways you can support the show. We do have a Patreon account where you can support the show monetarily and get access to our Discord server. You can help us choose the games that we play through Patreon. And of course, you get featured on the amazing Amigos World of Supporters t-shirt. Patreon.com/Amigos podcast is where you can go to do that. We're always trolling for iTunes reviews. We need iTunes reviews because that's what people use to discover our show. Even if you don't use iTunes, the iTunes review aggregator is used by multiple podcast programs, and that's what determines what comes up first. So if you got a second, please write us a review on iTunes. And finally, Aaron, the biggest thing you can do is just keep playing the Amiga. Keep playing the Amiga. Keep the dream alive. The Amiga is bigger now than it's been in a long time, and we want to keep riding the wave.
It's great, isn't it? We got real lucky, didn't we? We just got here just in the nick of time.
Rainbow-colored V-shaped checkmark wave of the Amiga.
Well said, Boat.
So last week, Aaron, we had the Patreon song was a huge success.
I don't remember. I tried like gangbusters to figure it out. I listened to it twice and still have no idea.
We have we had quite a few winners, and I want you to tell me one thing about each of these winners when I tell you their name. Yep. Okay.
No, see, you're getting weird on me here. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Dan Ross.
Dan Ross. He's the boss.
Okay. Pixels at Dawn.
He saved our bacon this week. Big time.
Gary Hucker.
The Huck, technical wizard.
Okay.
Capacitor blower up extraordinaire.
Paul Kitching.
Hey, he's talented. Very talented.
Duncan Styles.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we reading the entire list?
These are the people that got.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, my God.
They got the Patreon song challenge correct.
Duncan Styles. You could count on him like you can count on the sunrise, and I see him everywhere.
I like it. Jason Warrens.
Jason Warrens, I'm warning you, he's awesome.
You're really scraping here. Figgy CTZ.
Figgy CTZ. Every time I see his name, I internally chuckle. That's what.
Okay.
These guys all got this, and I didn't get it.
They all got it. Bark Bit.
Bark Bit. Man, it reminds me of my pizza delivery days. I'd go, those dogs could smell that pizza, man. They'd bark, then I got bit.
And finally, Chris Folds.
Chris Folds, a man who needs an attitude adjustment when it comes to Lionheart. That's for darn sure.
All right. So congratulations. Last week's song was Take On Me by Aha.
That was Take On Me?
That was Take On Me.
Man, I didn't get that.
All right. God. So this week, as always, we are going to do the Patreon Song Challenge. This is going to be a song that both Aaron and I will perform together for the first time. You can email me if you know the correct answer at john@amigospodcast.com, and Aaron might say something interesting about you next week.
We did not discuss this before the show.
So here we go. This is the Patreon song.
Well, I don't know what the song is.
It's right there on the page. Here we go.
I don't know the lyrics of that.
Coletta, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nims, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Darren Lomax, Colin 419, jumping anytime here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Barkbit, Roland Burke, Andrew Monk, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Kellon, Alan Kebab, Chakotay, Levelor, John Marshall, Matthew Perrone, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stephenson and Sorgard Martinson, Edvin Hilland, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham W. Vebke, Brent Dowdy, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Stiles, Alan Kebab, Anthony Jarvis, Tapes from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, one more time with the chorus, Jonas Rollo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humbertstad, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Cole, Jason Warnes, Pixels at Dawn, and Killbjorn Barman.
That's too hard. Oh, God.
Yeah, you think what I do is easy?
Yeah, I thought it was.
You thought it was. It takes years of practice and dedication.
Is that what? It scares me. It would take years to practice that.
So, Aaron, next week.
Oh yeah, what are we playing next week, bud?
We're gonna leave the realm of public domain software, and we're going to go back to a commercially released title. This is a simulation title. This is a game.
I think I'm
that we've simmed the city.
Yeah.
We've simmed the ant, the farm, the tower, the copter. It's time to sim life, baby.
Oh man.
We're gonna play Sim Life, Will Wright's own.
I hope I can get a job and go to work in that. My favorite.
Stay tuned, guys. We will see you next week. Until next time, adios.